Good morning. It is another fine Wednesday morning, and it's time for Victory Hour here on Chat Room with Dr. Victory Facebook page. We give God praise for the gift of life, for the privilege of our being in the land of the living today and being alive. It's something worth, giving God praise for, because it's not a right, it is a privilege for one to wake up in the morning and be alive. And so I say thank you, Father in heaven. Thank you, God, for the privilege of seeing today. Yeah, remember, it is time for Victory Hour with me, Dr. Victory Ikechukwu. And it is a place where I bring teachings, on the issues that affect people in their everyday lives and how to handle them, and also to teach them how to have victory in all the areas of their life where they feel defeated. All right, do tell your friends about, this program if it has been a blessing to you. Remember, they said, what are friends for? Good friends for. When you find something good, you let your friend know. Like we women that like shopping, clothes, shoes, and all that, anywhere you see that they are selling cheaper than the normal price, you always try to let your friends know. So it's the same with this teaching. I believe that you have been blessed in one way or the other, through this teaching. Let your friends know. Tell them about this page, encourage them to like the page, and let them share comments. And remember, I said sometime on my teaching that if you have questions, send your questions. Appropriate answers will be given to you. My numbers are there. Feel free to call. I will give you free counseling, or anything you want to ask me, I will give you answers to them. All right, let's go into today's teaching. Today's topic is Raising Children 303. Remember, is a series. I told you that I will be starting a series about raising children, because we know that the children are the futures of tomorrow. They are the leaders of tomorrow, and they are the parents of tomorrow. And we really need to give them solid foundation, because if we don't do that, it will be a problem tomorrow. So that's why I wanted, to run it as a series, specifically this topic that is dealing on children. And by the grace of God, I think on my page, you would have seen the flyer, where I'll be one of the guest speakers in Pretoria next week, by the grace of God. And actually that was the topic they gave me to treat on, raising children. And by the grace of God, God has given me wisdom, on how to raise children and to teach people about it, because, I took time to study, to read, to listen to people, to go for, teachings about raising children. I bought a lot of books right from the baby stage. So I believe that was why God gave me the mandate, to teach people, and so that to help them. Because we find that the most parents, they're battling on raising children. I know it's not an easy job, but if you are determined to do it, you bring the best out of your children. So let me not take most of our time, but I'll just do a recap of what I taught last week. Remember, last week was Raising Children 202. Today we'll be Raising Children 303. And by the grace of God, I'll be rounding it up next week, Raising Children 404. It's just a series that I taught for into 4 parts: part 1, part 2, part 3, and part 4. Remember, last week I taught on Raising Children 202. Today I'm going to talk about Raising Children 303. That is part 3. And my subtopic, by the grace of God, is going to be how to understand teenagers. It is a very important topic, because most of us that are parents battle with our teenagers. Who are teenagers? Teenagers are children that are, from the age of 13 to 19 years. Those that are up to 20 and in their, let's say early 20s, 20, 21 to 25, are called young adults. But I will be dealing specifically today on our teenagers, those from the ages of 13 to 19. We find out that, when we give birth to our children, especially from the toddler age, we enjoy them. They're so cute. They're so adorable. We play with them. We buy toys with them. You tell them, don't do this. They don't do it. Sit, and they sit. Sometimes, they rebel, according to the age and all that. But teenagers, is a difficult stage. You need to understand them properly and what is happening, around their space in terms of their development, their maturity, the things they're experiencing both physically in their growth and development in their body and spiritually. And if you don't understand these things, you keep having problem with them. By the grace of God, those are the things that I'm going to deal with in my teaching today. Because, most parents, they were like, oh my goodness, this child, some of them, they even start, from the age of 12, when they're about to enter the pubic age, that's puberty, yes. They turn, they change. You are like, what is happening? Some mothers, sorry to say that, they use the word that it's like my child is now a monster. They are not. It is because of what is happening in their space, that is happening in their life, that looks as if they turn to be difficult. But with the understanding of that, development that is happening both physically and emotionally, within them, you will not have problem with them. You will even tend to help them because you find that most of the things that they are passing through, they need help. Oh my goodness, it's amazing that this your cute and lovable little baby girl or boy, now reaches a teenage age and changes dramatically. And you're wondering what is happening. And most parents, they find it difficult to cope. So this my teaching comes this morning to help you, that parent that is watching me right now or is yet to watch or listen to this my teaching, that you will find, some tips that will help you to cope. It's really amazing because, by the grace of God, I have 2 teenage sons. So most of the things that I'll teach here, I'm teaching from, practical experiences that I've experienced and those that I've learned as a result of, doing research, studying, and, getting some teachings. And when you apply some of the things that you learn from my teachings this morning, you will start enjoying them again, like, when they were younger. It's lack of understanding that makes parents to say, I'm tired with this child, I don't even know what to do. But when you understand, they will become your friends, like the way mine are now. So let's go into, the points I put down. Remember, my teachings are always brief for you to understand, not lengthy. Remember, I said here, I don't preach. God gave me the mandate to teach on practical everyday life experiences. If you want teaching, by the grace of God, you go to our ministry Facebook page, The Fruitful Place Ministries, where I, myself, and my husband, Dr. John Ikechukwu, and even my first son, that is a teenager, by the grace of God, we bring, preachings on the word of God. So I'm saying if you want preaching, you go to our ministry Facebook page. Every Sunday, you're guaranteed to get the preaching of the word of God. But this, my program, is specifically for everyday life experiences, that people face, and some areas of their life where they feel defeated. I will teach them on how to have victory. Like most parents, they feel defeated, especially when their children get to teenage age. They don't even know what to do. They don't know who to go for advice and all that. You don't need to. With this my teaching, you'll find there are simple things that maybe you might know before you don't even know that these are the ways to handle them. So let's go into the topic for today. Remember, I said how to understand teenagers. I was just trying to explain who are teenagers. They are wonderful people. Most of the things they're doing is as a result of what is happening between them, the development, the changes that is happening all around them, both physically, emotionally, and otherwise. Most of the time, they don't even know how to cope. So today we're going to deal on how to understand teenagers. Number 1 is they are very idealistic. Teenagers are highly idealistic. They always believe they have better ideas than parents. Remember, I said this is my teaching. I'll be, bringing practical examples. By the grace of God, I have 2 teenage sons. One is 19 and the other one is 17. So most of the things I'll be teaching here is from practical examples, that I've experienced with them. And also, I remember I said last week that my heart goes out. I love youth. I love children. Children, no matter the age, whether they're young children, they're youth, they're teenagers, they're young adults. My heart goes out for them. I have this thing that God put in them, that anytime I get close to them, they open up. And I thank God for that, because it's a grace. So remember I said how to understand teenagers. Point number 1, they are very, very idealistic. They always believe that they have better ideas than what you're trying to bring to them. And most of the time, they challenge you with your ideas. When you understand this, you know that they're not being disobedient, but that is the way, the stage they found themselves. That's the way they're supposed to be. You know, they believe they can make it better. They can do it better. They can make a change. It said, I know better. I have a better idea on how to do this. Most of the time, it doesn't go, you know, right with them. But you just have to understand that that is the space they are in. That is the space they have found themselves. Yeah, interview saying, my daughter, I love you. You say, good morning, Mama. I can see you're watching. God bless you. Another point number 2. He said they are very energetic. Remember, we're saying how to understand teenagers. 1, they are very idealistic. They believe that they have better ideas than the idea you're putting in front of them. Number 2, they're very energetic. Oh my goodness, the energy that is in them, it needs to be exerted. So you, as a parent, you need to help to provide them with opportunity or where to exert that energy. They are highly energetic. You know, most of them were like, where is it happening? What is the party? Where is the party happening? What is going on? That is what is inside of them. That's why you find out in most schools they have sporting activities. What are they trying to do? They're trying to help them exert those energies. And when you don't, you know, help them by providing good opportunities for them to exert those energies, they would exert those energies in bad ways. That's why we're being encouraged as parents to provide opportunities for them to, you know, try to remove those energies that are in them. It's part of their inbuilt. They're highly energetic. So we need to encourage them to engage in sporting activities, church activities, and social activities, those that will benefit them, not that where they will go and drink and smoke. No, there are a lot of social activities that will help them. Like my teenage son, my second son, you know, he's into football, playing football. He's a soccer player. It's just because he's writing matric, just like we said, the final year for his secondary school or high school, that the father said he should mellow down on his academy so that he can fix his activities. One of the day I went to watch him play. Oh my goodness, the way he was running on the field, I was like, where is this energy coming from? You know, they don't even get tired. So that's the way teenagers are made up. They have a lot of energy. Trying to engage them in something. My first son, besides our ministry, there's this German church that is very close to where we are staying. I think they started even from when they were primary school. Now, they saw the way, you know, he's so engrossed with it. They even made him a leader. There was a day I was watching one of the video, you know, he sent me. The way they were dancing, they were singing gospel song, dancing. You can see they have too much of energy. The way the heat that was coming, but they're enjoying it. You know, that is the way to give them opportunity. And by the grace of God, because of the way he was engrossed, they made him a youth leader. And this last Christmas that passed, when they went for youth camp, the church paid for his traveling expenses, while others, their parents have to do that. So what am I trying to say? Provide opportunity to teenager to exert energy. Because that energy is not supposed to be bottled up. If it's supposed to be bottled up, they will try to, you know, exert that energy in a wrong place. That is point number 2. Point number 3, remember, I'm dealing on how to understand our teenagers. Point number 3, they are identity seekers. They want to have their own identity. So as parents, we want to, okay, it's a little disconnection, don't mind. Is a network problem. Remember, I'm on point number 3. He said they are identity seekers. They always want their identities. As parents, we want them to believe everything we say, but most times they don't. We want them to come to us for advice, but you need to, you know, make sure you're too close to them so that they can easily come to you for advice. You know, sometimes they even ask a difficult question. Who is God? Why should I worship him? You're not supposed to shout. You're supposed to know that is the space they find themselves. You need to sit them down and explain to them. So sometimes they even say, don't take me to school. I don't want you to be taking me to school. I want to give me money for transport. I want to, you know, those things, when you understand, you handle it in a cool way, not shouting, because that is the space they find themselves. They want to be themselves. You know, they have identified myself. I think I'm big. I think I can take care of myself. That is the space they find themselves. So with your understanding of this teaching, you will not be having problem with your teenagers. You remember I said I'll be giving practical example. I remember, you know, when my boys, when they were teenagers, you know, I like to, like when we're crossing the road, I'll hold them. They say, Mommy, don't hold me. My schoolmate will see me. I told them that it's called Mommy's instinct, because sometimes I don't even know how I do it. Because, you know, they've realized, okay, now I'm a teenager. What is this? So, you know, if you understand it, sometimes we'll laugh over it. They say, Mom, I've told you don't hold my hand. But you see what I say, it's called Mommy's instinct. I don't even know when it comes. I grab your hand to cross the road. So, but when you understand, you know, you guys will see it as a fun, not quarreling or fighting with them. Number 4. Most times they are rebellious. So most times teenagers are rebellious. Remember, we're talking about understanding teenagers. When they are rebellious, it's not that they're trying to be disobedient or to pick up a fight with you. It's because of what is happening around them. You need to understand them. You need to, now direct them on the right way. They begin to question or challenge you on the way the things are being done in the house. Why do I even have to pray? Why do I even have to fast? There was a day my first son, after early morning prayer, he engaged I and the father on the question of fasting. Why do we fast? Why do we even stop this time? Why do we not stop at this time? The father had to sit him down and explain. But the way he approached it, you think it's a fight. That is the way they are. That is the way the development that is happening inside of them is taking place. But you need to sit them down and explain. Do you know that after the father explained to him and his brother, they engaged themselves in dry fasting? They said, okay, now they want to do dry fasting because of why? It was properly explained by the father. But the way he came, like it was a fight. Why do we even have to fast? Why do we have to stop this time? Why do we? Because of the way the father sat him down and explained out of love. Because, the way they approach things, it might not be the way you expected. But when you have this understanding, you will correct them in love. All right, that's awesome. That's point number 4. Point number 5, they respect the truth a lot. Remember, we are dealing on how to understand teenagers. They respect the truth a lot. They want someone they can look up to, someone who has principles and live by them. And you as a parent should provide that. Children, they might be doing things, they might be lying, they might be pretending and all that, but they respect people that stick to the truth. They respect people that have principles and live by them. So you don't even know they are watching. Remember, I think it was in part 1 that I taught something about the children. They watch you more in your action than what you tell them to do. Like when you tell them to pray, they've not seen you pray. When you tell them to read the Bible, they don't see you sit down to read your Bible. It doesn't work. But you find that most things you don't even tell them because they watch, they see you do it, they do it. Like teaching my children to read the Bible. I find out that even recently they challenge me the way they read the Bible. But initially when you're teaching them, it's like it's a fight. Remember, there's a tip I gave last week. I'll still repeat it again, and another one I'll add on how to help your children to read the Bible. Because most times, even we adults, when we pick up the Bible, we don't even know where to start. I gave the example of the book of Proverbs. I say Proverbs has 31 verses and it's for 1 month. Like this month, that is the month of November. Today is the 11th day of November. They will read Proverbs 11. Any day they skipped is like a punishment. Like if they skip today, tomorrow they read 11 and 12. That's the way I did to my boss. So you find out they always read it because they don't want to read 2 chapters the next day. Also, like if you see there's improvement, they want to read more, you can. Another tip, like I said, I'll add today, is the book of Psalms. The book of Psalms, I think it has 150 chapters. You can divide it 5 for each day. Then the day that falls to Psalm 119, is a very lengthy chapter. That one can be just for 1 day. Then the next day can be Psalm 120 to 125. That is another tip that will help you to encourage your teenagers to read their Bible, to study their Bible, because it helps them. Because remember, when you read the Bible, you're feeding your spirit man. When we eat food, we eat rice, we eat beans, and all that, vegetables and all that. We are feeding our body, the flesh. But when you study the Bible, you're feeding your spirit man, your inner mind. That is, by the way, is not a topic for today. So let's go back to the topic of today. Remember, we are dealing on how to understand teenagers. And I've given up to point number 5. I would like to go through it again before I'll finish the remaining one. Point number 1, I said they are very idealistic. And number 2, they are very energetic. Number 3, they are identity seekers. Number 4, most times they are rebellious. Not that they want to be, but it's because of the space they find themselves. But when you understand them, you put them through. And remember point number 5, I say they are truth seekers. They respect the truth a lot. They respect people that have the truth and they stick to it. So they want those people to be their watchword. So let's go to point number 6. They are chance takers. They take chances a lot. Teenagers, they take chances a lot. They do things before they think. Yeah. That's the way teenagers, they act. They do things before they think. Most of the time, you tell them to do the right thing. They want to do their own way. And you find out that when they take chances and they fall into problems or trouble, they will still, fall back to you that already initially you told them they didn't want to do. This teaching is coming to to let you understand teenagers and know most of the things they do is because of the development that is, happening around them and the space they are in. So if you understand, you will try to, give them the help they need. By the grace of God, remember I said I'll be ending this my series on raising children topic. So next week that I'll be rounding up, I'll be teaching on how to help teenagers. Now we understand them, then next week will be how to help them so that they don't make more mistakes in their life. They take chances. They do things before they think. Parents will talk to them and they will go out and fall into those things that you advise, and they still fall back to you, the parents that they ignore your advice initially. Children are like that. I remember my first son, when he entered high school or secondary school earlier on, that's in his early stage of the secondary school. There's this metro bus, this metropolitan bus they used to go to school with. They have a card that you have to load it either termly or monthly for them. There's this bus tag that you can fix the card so that it doesn't break. I bought it for him. He said, no, it doesn't work because, you wear it on your neck. He said he doesn't want this. He preferred to put it on his wallet. I let him be. I put it on his pocket. I know when you put something inside your wallet, put it in your back pocket, you sit on it. And he sat on it and it cracked. And that bus, when you want to enter the bus, you swipe. And immediately there's a crack or break, it can't swipe. So when he was coming to school, all this thing I'm narrating, he didn't tell us until it has happened. He tried to swipe, it was broken. There's nothing, and he didn't have enough money there. Then he has to go to our friend, a doctor that has a clinic close by, and explain everything to him. So that guy now has to, use his car to bring him home. When he came home, he was now, narrating his ordeal and all that. He said that our friend was, our medical doctor was now, explaining to him that is part of maturity and all that. After he finished talking, I laughed. I said, at least thank God you came back home safely. You were not stranded. Why I'm bringing this? He took chances because, with that bus tag that you put on your neck, or even if you don't put your neck, that tag thing helped to protect the card. It can't scratch, it can't break. But see, he took chances because he didn't want to take my advice. So that I know that some of us, might have other experiences with their teenagers. That is the way they are making But if you understand it, you will enjoy them. You will not have problem with them. Our time is fast moving. Let's go to the 7th point. They like to live in their own culture. That is teenagers. Remember, we're talking about understanding teenagers. In every new generation of teenagers, they have the in thing. Something that is in vogue. Like now, it's tight jeans. There was a time it was bogus jeans. Now it's tight jeans, and all that. There's a lot of things, the hairstyle and all that, They, even what they say the swag. They have a hairstyle that is in vogue. They have the style of dressing that is in vogue. That is their culture. And you can't change them from that because that is what is happening around them. And you find out that with time, it will still change. Another one will come. But that time that is happening, you can't stop them from it. So you just need to understand and let them be. That is the way teenagers are. The last point for today is they like their own language. Remember, we're talking about understanding teenagers. They like their own language. When you understand this, you won't have problem with them. Because with time, they will still outgrow that stage and go to adult stage. Then other people will still fall into, teenage stage. But with your understanding, whether you are the parent of a teenager or you're a grandparent of a teenager, maybe the parents left him or her with you. With this understanding, you won't have problem. Or you yourself, you are, a youth leader in the church or a teacher or somebody that teaches. Some churches, they have teenage church. You're a teenage teacher. You will understand. Because there are some things you can stop them from doing it. But you need to understand and help them, appropriately in the ways that they need to be helped. So the last point for today, point number 8, is they like using their own language, what they call slangs. They use this language, or some of them call it coded language. So even some of us that are big now, if you can recall during your own teenage time, there are some coded, languages you use. Like nowadays, they said dope, D-O-P-E, lit, cool. The first time I heard dope, I was like, what is it? I have to ask my teenage sons. They explained to me because to me then dope meant another thing. But they're using it now. When they say something is so exciting is happening, they say it's lit. lit, is it not past tense of lighting something? But that is their language. And, and they enjoy it. Sometimes they say, this thing is super cool. It's, oh my goodness, with this understanding, the way I'm smiling, that's the way you're smiling. Because by the grace of God, I told you I have teenage son. I have more than enough of this. Sometimes when they speak, we don't even understand. There was a time my husband was like, because remember I told you, after my teenage boys, I had a miracle baby that is just 4, He came after 13 years. His immediate elder brother is writing matric, is in final year of secondary school or high school, and he is just 4 years, he's in nursery school. So sometimes, he tried to use the language that his brother speak. The father will hear and say, what is this? Sometimes you call the brother, what is this that your people are speaking and the brother is speaking? They will not explain the mean this. Sometimes even my husband will call it in a funny way that we will all laugh. What am I trying to say? That is the language of the teenagers, and they love it. Within themselves, among themselves, when they meet and all that, even in school, they use it. So you have to understand their space, understand what they are passing through, understand the development that is happening within them, and then you will not have problem with them. Because most times they will come with some, striking questions, even the way they'll present it, as if they want to pick up a fight with you. No, with your understanding, you will find out that most times they need to be sat down and explained more. They need to be, they need to be put right, and it has to be with you. Because the way the things are happening, is like roller coaster, out there. But when you have the understanding, you will explain to them better, and help them to follow the right path. I hope we're blessed today. I'll be ending my teaching here today. And remember, I said that next week I'll be ending this series on raising children. Initially when I started, I said it's gonna be a series. I'll run it into 4 parts. I did part 1, part 2. Today is part 3, and next week, by God's grace, I'll be rounding it up, the part 4, and I'll be teaching on the topic of how to help our teenagers pass through this adolescent stage. Remember, today we learned about understanding them, understanding the space they're in, what is happening all around them. And then next week will be on how to help them. I know that this teaching has blessed you. Try to let someone know about it, your friend, your neighbor, your sister, your brother, or somebody that is battling with their teenage children. So don't say, oh, my children are small, they're not really teenagers, I don't need this. I am telling you, the way those children get to teenage age, it's like a strike of the lightning. Children, they grow so fast. Sometimes when I watch my first son that is 19 now, it's really amazing, because it's that little boy that used to carry him on my hands, and we used to go everywhere. But now they are in their own space. Even before you go to their room, you have to knock and all that. Sometimes they said, Mom, I barge into your room. Before I've already entered before I knocked, because I've tried to balance, try to understand them. So the things that will bring fight and quarrel, will now laugh over it. So this teaching is coming to you this morning that is a parent of a teenager or a teenager to be, because I think they said it's even good to prepare the ark before the flood come. That is even better, some things before they're teenagers. Just like I told you, I attend teachings, I listened to teachings, and I read books on teenagers, before they attended the teenage age. So I know that this teaching has blessed you this morning. Try to, share this teaching, try to comment, try to invite your friends or tag them along. Let them know that this has been a blessing to you, and it will bless them also. So keep a day with me next week, Wednesday. Keep safe, always wear your masks, sanitize, and keep a social distance until this evil pandemic is over. Believe me, by the grace of God, it will be over. The way HIV and other pandemic came and they went over. So see you next week. Bye.